Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we kept going with the Void Crusade. We'll just jump back into that. I have to find which mission I need to do. It is you. Yes, I keep having to check. This one has an info fragment. Ooh, that damage suffered. So I saw NASA said that there might be life on the moon. Not like Gleep Glorp, some little green men just vibing, but more of like, hey, bacteria. I know, never fun to just be like, here's some lichen or... Actually, hell, I would take lichen. That's a new thing. I'm tired of single-celled organisms. Give me space fungus, that's something new. But yeah, up at the North Pole and in some parts of the moon. And apparently, we are kind of ready to go by like 2025. We could get astronauts on the moon again. Which is cool. Honestly, I think we should have spent the last 20 years focusing a little more on getting people back on the moon and in space, but who am I to judge? But it always seems like when we're in conflict with other nations, then we actually care about, you know, completing things. Space race wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Russia. Who knew a little, like, beach ball that beeped as it flew across space would incentivize us to launch dudes into space? All thanks to Sputnik. But... interesting that they mentioned that. Now, I think that'd be like... I think we found stuff on Mars, so... we'd have two places that have had some form of life, potentially. But I was sitting there thinking, you know, about aliens, as I always do. And I sat there and realized something. You remember recently the people who were like in Vegas were like, oh man, there's a alien in our backyard, and then proceeded to provide the worst quality footage known to man. It wasn't, you know, 480p, it wasn't 144p, it was like 4p. And then I love the guys who are hardcore UFO believers. You know, shout out to them, they're real ones. But these guys are dumb as sand. Seriously, these dudes are dumb. They're like, look at the fence. You can see the shadow right here. And I'm looking and I'm like, this is a grand total of 6 pixels. There is nothing you can see there. They're like, oh, we'll explain it. Shadows. You have light hitting the front and dark hitting the back. It's casting shadows. The person with the camera is moving. There's a lot here. You don't have an actual alien on screen. That is the problem. It was something that irked me to know, and it's been irking me for a while because everybody's bending over backwards. Oh man, this is such a big deal. Yeah, the actual aerial phenomena that is able to be corroborated by the Las Vegas police officer's body cam. That's interesting. That is also, you know, something we can corroborate. Something we can compare, we can contrast, we can say, hey, we have multiple sources on this. Good. The guy standing in his yard, essentially hiding behind 2 people with his phone out, and everyone's like, man, there's an alien there. That's nothing. If that dude said, out of the way, I need to get this footage, and he stepped up and got a full body shot that you could maybe crank some contrast and get something out of, sure. That's something. But when, you know, you're hiding like a little coward... The dude created a YouTube channel around it too. I'm like, come on. There's not much you can really do with the channel. You're gonna put like 1, maybe 2 videos, and that's all you got. Because there's nothing else there. it's annoying because you could actually do a lot with it, but I get tired of some of these UFO encounters and alien encounters because people just do not do good job doing any form of like evidence gathering. And I will admit, yes, if you're scared, you're not thinking, but if you have the wherewithal to pull your phone out and start recording, you should really have the wherewithal to be like, okay, I need a clean shot. Me hiding behind a fence and 2 people and saying there's something back there, that is not good evidence. I could stand in my hallway right now, look into my bathroom with no lights on, and be like, man, there's something in there. I don't know, maybe there is. Would you know? You wouldn't, because I didn't step in. And that's just kind of the thing is, it's annoying, and it kind of comes off as, it feels like almost disinfo, because then you can drown out other accounts by being like, oh, see, either this guy failed to get anything, or this guy got footage, but it's not really good footage, and everybody focuses like a laser on that. But something I noticed, like I said, thinking about aliens, when's the last time you heard anything about gray aliens? Seriously. We used to hear all about gray aliens. Every time there was an abduction case or something, it was little gray men hopped out and were looking around, touching things, looking at people. They were scooping people up to probe or shove things in their nose or whatever. Now that's kind of died. Did little gray men go on vacation, or what's the deal? Makes me wonder what's going on. Not like, oh man, did the gray aliens get pushed out, but like, because we've seen a shift of like from that to reptoids.
Inquisitor.
Is it more of just kind of, this is what's in the collective consciousness right now, is people heard of like David Icke and they're like, oh, reptilians, that's the thing. You know, your classic Illuminati, reptile people rule the world kind of BS. Is that what people are pulling from now? Because in the end, that's kind of what it feels like, is little gray or little green men kind of fell out of fashion. And yes, this is dismissive of like, oh, well, I'm just writing off everyone's claims as fake. I'm just going off of, we see this switch. And without evidence, you have to look at everything and think it's a bit dubious at best. Blind faith in every testimony doesn't get you anywhere. I mean, hell, that's kind of part of the whole story of the Crucible, which if you went through high school English class, you probably read it, where it's these little girls in a Puritan village claim to have been bewitched, and what it really is they just didn't like some of the people in the town, and so they lied and said that they were witches and cast spells on them and all this. Not that they were actual witches, not that we had, Shadow Wizard Money Gang rolling up. People were just haters. And one of the big takeaways is everybody has a motive. Now, claiming you're abducted by UFOs doesn't get you a lot of fame. It's not... You're not getting a book tour. You're not getting on Oprah, or, well, I guess... Can't even say Oprah, can't say Ellen. I don't know, whoever's a big name talk show person these days, you're not getting on there. At best, You get referred to by some people like me, and that's it. The only people who really get the attention are the people who have stood by their case 20, 30, 40, 50 years, where they haven't wavered in the details, where, you know, they're able to be brought up because of their consistency. And of course, you know, you look at, perfect example, Betty and Barney Hill case. Part of the reason they were big is because you didn't have the internet. These days, you could probably Google search UFO sighting or alien abduction, and you would get swamped. You would see dozens and dozens of cases. Hell, I've sat down and looked at MUFON. They have, if I remember right, this was years ago at this point, but they had, you could look at the cases. And I remember looking, and it was just countless cases within the same day, within the same week. And some people would put, you know, some visual evidence, and sometimes people didn't understand how cameras worked or glass. And you'd have a person post a picture of what they say is a UFO, and it is a reflection of them in the glass because the flash completely washed out and, you know, they don't know how cameras work. But other times, yeah, you'd see a weird shape, you'd see something, and sometimes you'd see someone throw a hat in the air and pretend it's a UFO like they did in the old days. There were so many, you can't really pick one out. You can't really clout harvest UFOs. Unless you become a ufologist, then you can kind of harvest clout by getting on TV. Or you do like what some of the guys do, and you just repeat the same thing we've heard a million times of, hey, here's, you know, we'll take Eric von Daniken's work and Zechariah Sitchin. Oh, aliens are, you know, all biblical representations of angels and demons are actually aliens. Do I believe it? It's dubious, but anything's possible. But you just repeat those same bylines. Yep, they're all aliens. Source, cite the same materials that these other guys sourced. Boom, you made a book. And the sad part, you can't really go farther than that. Like, what are these guys gonna do? They can't find an alien to talk to, so the best they can do is write speculative work. And all the UFO stuff's weird. I remember seeing a thing like UFO sightings have apparently gone up 500% as of late. And it's... the unfortunate part is you cannot say that's wrong. Because all a UFO is an unidentified flying object. I think of the guy who taxidermied a cat and put it on a quadcopter drone. If you can't identify what that was from, you know, quick glance, that's a UFO. A taxidermied cat is classified as a UFO. Until you identify it, then it's just a flying cat flown around by someone who really shouldn't have done that to their poor cat. That's just sad. But yeah, that's kind of why they also came up with UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, and because they poisoned the well with UFO. Decades of absolutely dunking on anybody who used the words and calling him a conspiracy theorist absolutely poisoned the well and made it so no one's taken seriously when they use the term. Actually, let's check. What's my inventory looking like? We'll mulch. I'm sitting here hemming and hawing it. Keep saying, if I have to sit here and hem and haw it, we're just doing it. Otherwise, I can talk myself into or out of anything given enough time. Alright, let's do it. 300% damage, that's gonna suck. But everything else will be easier than this mission. I just realized I might have screwed this up a long time ago. During like my 9th mission, I don't remember if I hit the cogitator or not. If I did, cool. If I didn't, I'll have to check the map, but if I didn't, this isn't going to be 100% perfect. But, you know, that's the classic for me. I rarely ever 100% these. As long as it's close, I'll accept it. You know, 95%, 90, that's still an A. God, I'm just terrified of, like, damage taking. I need a weapon like what I had for, or armor like I had for the Psyker, where I was able to just convert damage into shield. I had it too good. Bulgrin, please die. You have a lot of debuffs on you. I need that damage up for... Oh, cool, I just skipped it by going that way. But I need that damage up for, like, debuffs on an enemy. But that's gonna be down the road. Once I have it, though, I can just ball out of control. But part of the reason why I took this gun is so I can hit multiple targets, and I have that heal 1% of your damage when you critically hit a target, or 1% your max health. Hey, you killed one of my bots. And I think he like instantly killed another one of my bots. Be nice if my tank stayed back to tank. I get he's tanking the other stuff, but it's inconvenient when I need him like here. Yeah, in general, I don't have much else regarding aliens. It's all still up in the air. Like everything. Like, I'm waiting to hear... We'll probably hear nothing, realistically, about some of these, like, congressional meetings and stuff. And in the end, even if there is a big thing like, oh, we'll unveil what we have, I don't think we're gonna get anything of value. I mean, one of the more kind of like awkward but believable realities is, okay, let's say aliens are real. maybe our government actually doesn't know anything. Or maybe all we do know is from salvaged wrecks and somehow intact, recovered ships. Maybe that's all we know. We're just kind of picking up parts like, hey, somebody's out here. It's interesting. I can't remember if it was Buckminster Fuller or who it was, but I always remember the saying, because it was a quote at the beginning of XCOM Enemy Unknown or Enemy Within, one of the two, because they changed the quote at the beginning for the game and the DLC. But it was, we are either alone in the galaxy or we're not, and either answer is terrifying. And I agree with that. That is, either or is a terrifying answer. Because, think about it, other people are out there, which, it's interesting, because you ever go through your day, you know, you're in the car, you look at someone, and realize that person's living their own life. They're doing their own thing. They're going to work, they're going shopping, they're going to a friend's, they're going to a wedding, a funeral, a bridal shower, they're going to celebrate someone having their kid, going somewhere to do something. And then you drive by a neighborhood, and it's that realization of, there's 100 houses in this neighborhood. There's 200 houses. There's an apartment complex. Every one of them is inhabited. Anywhere from 1 to, let's say 5 people. 100 houses in a neighborhood, 500 people. 200 houses, 1,000 people maybe. Everybody's living their lives. Kids going to school, parents going to work. Grandparents who are living with their son or daughter-in-law and their family. It's weird. And it reminds you, everybody's living their own lives. Everybody's doing their own thing. You can sit here and someone can have a bad day and say something to you and you think, oh, that person's an ass. But you don't know, they're just having a bad day. Something's going on in their life that's tough. Maybe they're just a dick. Some people are. But you think about that, and then you extrapolate that to a city. 100,000 people live here. 400,000 people live here. Everybody's living their own lives. Everybody's got a story to tell. And that's interesting. That's a lot to take in. You expand that to a state, has millions of people, a country, a continent. You boil it down to the world, 7 billion people live here. All living our own lives. Thriving, surviving, struggling. Some people will live to see tomorrow, some people won't. Some people struggle to feed their family, some people have in excess. And then realizing there's another species of sentient beings out there. And there might be another planet, there might be 10 planets of people living their own lives. It's tough to kind of conceptualize, really. And then you realize those people might have completely different ways of living. Different than anything you've seen on National Geographic or the Travel Channel. Completely alien lives. It's weird. Exciting. But there is a scary element to it, to not understanding it even in the slightest. And then there's the other option. We are alone in the galaxy. What we could be getting is probes, remnants of a civilization that died long after those probes were sent and only now are reaching us. maybe it's one of those situations of, if you're reading this, it's too late. You know, we unleashed something we couldn't stop. We are sorry. That's terrifying unto its own. Or maybe it's just the natural, hey, their son died. Their whole system is gone. That civilization no longer exists. We could be the precursors. We could be the last in line. And that's not even going as far as, like, Mass Effect levels of gigantic cosmic harvests of sentient beings for the sake of resources or to prevent singularity. Just basic mundane reasons. It's terrifying in its own way, and it is definitely humbling. Because it's something I like to think about is, you know, everybody's got a struggle. Everybody's got their own thing going on. And you don't know what other people are up to, what they're doing. Sometimes you find out too late. Sometimes you never find out. And it puts things in perspective, you know. Like I said last episode, talking about people talking trash and being dicks in Call of Duty. Sometimes you gotta step back and go, is this worth it? Is this gonna affect me tomorrow? In the grand scheme of my life, does this matter? You know, some people just gotta do that. Some people gotta step back and realize what life is up to, and no one's the center of everything.
Blessed scanning psalms have been executed and indicate essential info fragments, Inquisitor. Data has been inloaded.
But yeah, everything with UFOs and all that. Strange times indeed. If you had told me 10 years ago we'd have this kind of stuff, government talking about it. If you told me when I was a kid trying to find aerial pictures of Area 51 that this would happen, I wouldn't believe it.
Activation psalms initialized.
I should actually not try to just ride this out because we need to actually whittle these guys down. I'm used to just riding that terminal all the way out and being like, yep, I'll just clear everyone at the end, but not now. Oh, I hate the fact that... See, part of me is like, oh, I need a new gun. But I'm also forgetting. I'm taking like 400% damage and dealing like 80 or 90% reduced damage. So this is actually okay damage. I'm just getting kneecapped. Skewed perception's a wild thing. This is one of those moments where I'm glad I don't have the Psywave Vivisectors. Because at least these guys can sit back and shoot. If they were up in the grill of these guys, they'd be walloped once and dead. Even if you have 3 of them, they're just not going to be putting out the damage they need to be. I have to just focus on the Ogrins and let the drone, like the combustors, just try to deal with the garbage. God, just look at the debuff stack. 7 debuffs, 8 debuffs. All my robots are dying. I mean, look at this. Even with the knockdown chains, he's just eating damage. 5 poison procs, just continual. Ah, hell. I am scared. Yeah, they just melted. Move that up a little bit so it's, even though it's within range, I'd like it to be a little closer. Yeah, just look at those debuffs and just that health, that number is just slowly rolling over. And I can sit here and whip hand grenades all I want, and yeah, those grenades are doing next to nothing. I think I am more effective shooting than I am throwing grenades. At least honestly, that Healy turret has paid for itself multiple times over. I mean, look at this thing. Even though my bot is able to regen shields, at least a little bit of shields pretty quick, it's able to just survive all this. Like, look at that. It got up to 800 shields. Yeah, and now it'll just not die as long as the Healy turret's back up. Ah. So this is taking a while. You reading any good books lately? I have a collection. It's the collective works of Robert Louis Stevenson, who did like Treasure Island. That's pretty good. It's one of the Canterbury classics. They're like leather-bound series. Fantastic books. I have one that's H.P. Lovecraft, and that's a fun one. I want to get the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. There's, like, Knights of the Round Table. There's a couple more. They're great books. I have one on Chinese and East Asian philosophy. Much like the Greek... Actually, it's a lot easier to read than the Greek philosophy one. Greek philosophy is just... It's interesting, but sometimes it's just rough. It's like there I have one that's Divine Comedy. Dante's work is amazing, but God, it's written poetically, so it's not like just paragraphs. And sometimes reading those, I'm like, or no, is it Divine Comedy? Yeah, I think it's Divine Comedy that's like that, because I also have Iliad and the Odyssey. And they're written in ways that I'm just like, this kind of blows to read, but these are good stories. And it's just, it's rough. You get years and years of reading paragraphs and sentences, and it's like, hey, here's like a 400-page, effectively, poem. You're just sitting there going through it going, oh dear God. I get what you're getting at, but this kind of sucks. Can you put a paragraph in, maybe? But I don't want some kind of abridged version people write, because you lose the spirit. All that trouble for pretty much garbage. I'm not even surprised. I gotta check what mission this was. There's an info fragment here, wasn't there? Well, if I got it, cool. If I didn't, I don't care. Oh boy, more waiting. See, this is disappointing because PC has the update where you just stand by those things and it automatically fills. And we still on console have not gotten that. Like, it's kind of annoying how far behind our updates still are. Because, like, we still haven't gotten the Sororitas. I still wouldn't buy it, but, you know, it'd be cool if it was available. Makes me wonder how long this season's gonna last. Are we looking at another year-long season? Or did they at least be like, hey, we uploaded, like, a couple seasons so you can at least rotate, but everything else is behind? Because I'll take that. The Sororitas I'm not too gung-ho on, like I said before. The class is kind of broken. Actually very broken. And I don't like how the weapons are set up and everything. But, you know, it'd be nice to have everything just for the sake of having everything for the game. Instead of being fed this, like, half-done version. And then waiting forever. Like, that's why I hold off on getting Battle Sector. Because the game looks really good, cool RTS. Well, turn-based strategy, but still strategy. It's just... there's still a bunch of factions that aren't done. And I don't feel like having a bunch of like, not even unfinished, but just non-existing factions. I want to play as Black Legion or Death Guard or all the different Chaos factions. I want to play as a bunch of different Space Marine factions and all that, because that's part of the fun. I don't even know if they're actually going to get all of them, or if it's just kind of a piecemeal, here's a few guys, moving on. Because the company, the studio Slitherine, they do a lot of, like, simulators and stuff, and they do a good job. They're just kind of slow. Oh, cool, I got it. And it looks like I got the mission. Cool. I was worried that I didn't have everything I needed unlocked, but it looks like I'm good to go in the future. Ooh. Archaeotech. Are you good? I wish it had another slot. That's kind of what's sucking here. Because otherwise it's not bad. Gain a personal void shield upon taking damage. So I'll mulch it. It's sad, but hopefully we can get a better one. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.